was everyone's mood like on the first day when all the truckers were arriving in Ottawa?
Oh, the mood was just like electric. It was, yeah. I mean, anyone who was there knows what I'm talking about. But for, I mean, anyone who wasn't, just think like your happiest, most joyful moment. The perfect birthday party or the best concert you've ever been to. It was just pure joy, and everyone was just of one mind. Like waving the flags, and it was hugs and fist pumps, and everyone, to whether you knew them or not, it was just, there was this incredible unity. And it's like all this tension and this desire for relationship and just human contact, it all just like exploded in that moment when everyone was together, and everyone just together in such like beautiful unity. So yeah, the energy was wild. Of course, the horns were crazy that first couple days. So it was just a chorus of horns, almost forming into this harmony of different horns that were going, and fireworks going off, and everyone cheering. And yeah, it was something to behold, to say the least. So the police, I mean, really wasn't an issue until like 3 weeks later. So
Yeah.
at the start there, so I came with this group of friends, 4 friends. We came in a pickup truck, and then the first like Friday, Saturday, we were just waving flags and having a good time. And but then very quickly, I saw how important this was, how big this was becoming, and I said, I can't leave here. So I decided in that moment that I was going to stay, and didn't really know what my plan was.
Yeah.
And but so yeah, so I was with these 4 friends. They headed home on the Sunday, and then it was just me. I didn't know anyone there, but I was pretty confident that this was an important thing, and I wanted to stick around. So I didn't even know where I was going to stay that night, but I happened to have a friend who reached out to me, and he heard I was down in Ottawa, and he said, do you have a place to stay? And I said no. And he's like, well, here, I'll book you a spot at a hotel. I've got all sorts of reward points. So he ended up booking me a spot at a hotel, and so I had that taken care of. And then I just started walking the streets, like trying to network and figure out like what was going on, because there was all this talk in the media that there was this big organized, well-funded, group that was doing this. And I kept hunting around, like trying to figure out who these people were, because I want to help them. But everyone I met, they were asking the same questions I was. So I was, I went down onto Wellington Street, and one of the first trucks I hopped into was Jay Vanderweer, the owner of the Shed truck. And obviously that truck really stood out. It was pretty obvious to everyone. And so I hopped in that truck, got talking to Jay, and was like, what's going on here? Like, who did you come? I just assumed he knew what was going on because he was one of the truckers. He's like, I don't know. I heard there was a convoy. So I hopped in my truck, and I'm here now. And he didn't really know anyone either. And so I started just like walking the line of trucks and talking to people and trying to figure out, what was going on. And I quickly realized that this whole section of Wellington Street, everything from like Metcalfe West, was all these guys from Ontario who pretty much had come out on their own and didn't really know anybody. There were some, like the Western Convoy and some of the guys from Quebec who traveled further together. They were a little more networked with each other, but most of the guys from Ontario were like me and just showed up and had no idea what was going on. Yeah. So I started hanging out with some of them. And then like at this point, we didn't know anything of like who was doing what and what was going on. So we just started building friendships with each other and trying to help each other as best we could. And the first couple days were just absolutely wild. I ran into, it was very hard to figure out like who was responsible for what, because it's not like you could flash an ID tag and say that you're doing this. So people would come up and say, oh, I'm in charge of fuel. And like, okay, that's handy. And I'll take down their number. And then the next day, someone else would say, no, like I'm in charge of fuel. And I was like, oh, well, that last guy told me he was in charge of fuel. No, that's a different group. Oh, what group are you with? Oh, we're with. So, there was hug a trucker and kiss a trucker and help a trucker and adopt a trucker and all these different groups. And it all meant nothing to me or to anyone that I knew on Wellington Street. So we just like formed this group amongst ourselves, and we're like trying to take care of each other. Jay, he started buying hotel rooms, and then guys would take turns using the hotel rooms. And we had one hotel room set up actually just for showers. So there was a guy who stayed there and just opened the door all day to let guys come in and shower, and all these kind of like crazy things just to try to take care of of each other. So when I'd see these news reports of how they were talking like we were this one unified group that was so dangerous or something, and that was not what we saw on the ground at all. It was very much like we were all making it up as we went. So